Paysach Knesset. I became friendly with Citron Shlita a number of months ago when he asked me to speak at one of the most moving speeches that I ever gave in my life. It was the first yard site of the catastrophe in Surfside, and at that evening 7 different shuls came together, and it was an experience that I will never forget. So if he asked me to say a few words, I'm certainly honored. We know that this week's Parsha, TzaRaat and Metzora is the Parsha where somebody gets TzaRaat. TzaRaat is not leprosy, but it's a certain skin disorder that is given because of a punishment. And the Yakars says, why is a Metzora called Metzora? Because it comes from the word Moitzi Ra. He spoke evil. So the Moitzi Ra is the Metzora, because he spoke things that he had in his heart, and he let it out now to the community against a certain person, and he ruins somebody else's reputation, or he makes the person feel terrible. And the Chofetz Chaim tells us in the Sefer Shmiras HaLashon that there are 10 different categories of Shmiras HaLashon. And just to mention a few, machlokes, if somebody causes arguments, or if somebody gets angry, or somebody says painful words, even to a spouse or to a child or to anyone, these are all problems in Shmiras HaLashon, and the Chofetz Chaim talks about them at length, each and every one of them. However, what I would like to talk about for a few moments is a different type of Shmiras HaLashon, and that is all those things that the Chofetz Chaim is talking about, kas, gaiva, machlokes, those are all negative speech. I'd like to talk about positive speech. And I think that this is the time when we have to speak about positive speech, as I'll tell you in a few moments why. But when you speak positively, you build people and you make them feel special. You validate someone. And so I want to tell you 2 little stories that will show us what does it mean when somebody validates another person. Many years ago, there was a Rosh Hashiva, a young man, a very charismatic Hasidic man. His name was Rabbi Geldzeller. Thank you very much. And he had a yeshiva in Brooklyn, and he took the boys to Israel for a trip, and they were going to go visit many different rabbis and get brachas from all the rabbis. And they were going from place to place. And then when they were on the bus, Rabbi Geldzeller realized that, wait a second, there's a cemetery here, and a very great tzaddik is buried there. And we all know that it's a very big schus to daven at the gravesite of a tzaddik, especially when you say divrei Torah, when you say words of Torah that he said. So he said to the boys, I'm going to ask the bus driver to stop. I know we came to Israel to go to the live rabbis, but it's a very big schus to go to the gravesite of a big tzaddik. And all the boys got off the bus except one. And he was sitting by the window and he looked so sad. And as Rabbi Geldzeller was about to get off the bus, all the kids were off the bus. He said to the little boy, he said, my child, you don't want to go in to pray by the big tzaddik? He said, Rebbe, I'm a Kohen. I can't go into the cemetery. And Rabbi Geldzeller felt so bad. He forgot that the kid was a Kohen. Of course he can't go in. So now this kid felt awful because everybody's going in and he's outside. Listen to what the Rebbe said to him on the spot. He said, young man, I just want to tell you, today we're all going inside and you're staying outside. But when the Beis HaMikdash comes, you're the Kohen, you're going to go inside to do the avoda, and we're going to be outside. And he made that kid feel like $1 million. Here the kid felt like an outcast, right? He was the only one who couldn't go in. But the rabbi validated him and said something positive. He's the Kohen, he's going to do the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. That's one beautiful story. Another story was told by a Rabbi Avram Mandelbaum. He is a principal in a school in Lakewood, and B'li Ayin Hara, they have so many kids in that school. He's the principal for just the 3rd and 4th grade, and that alone is a couple hundred kids, because they have 10 third grades and 10 4th grades. So it's amazing. Now, so he told this story at a Torah Masorah convention. Torah Masorah is an organization for all the principals and all the Rebbeim and Moros throughout America. He tells the story that any time a kid was sent out of class in the 3rd or 4th grade, he would come to the principal's office and he would find out what the kid did, and he rebuked him, in a moderate way. But he said, I always, when I send the kid back to class, I always call him by his first name, whether it's Shlomi, David, Shimon. He says, Shlomi, don't forget I love you. And he sends the kid back to class. So there was this boy who was always in the principal's office. Let's call him David, right? A little bit of a troublemaker. And one day, David comes into the office, and the Rebbe finds out what he did, and he speaks to him, and he tells him what he has to tell him, and he sends him back to class. 10 minutes later, Rabbi Mandelbaum walked out of his office, and David is standing there. He said, David, I sent you back to class 10 minutes ago. He said, Rebbe, you forgot to tell me you love me. Imagine that. You could cry from a story like that. Who knows if maybe that's the kid who was always in the office, because at home his parents were too busy and they had no time to tell him they love him. So he wanted to hear from the Rebbe how he's loved, and that's why he didn't go back to class. And it just shows us what it means when you validate someone. Now I want to tell you something that you mamash have to fasten your seatbelts, and I'm going to repeat this many times throughout the week in the various places, because to me this is one of the greatest thoughts ever. The Bnei Yisoscha, who was a great Hasidic Rebbe, the Nineveh Rebbe, once asked a question: why is Sfira 49 days? Where does that number come from? Maybe 39, 29, 59, 17, well, what's 49? And he says something fabulous. He says that in Pirkei Avos, in the second Perik, the fifth Mishnah, it tells us that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was sitting with a group of Talmidim, and he asked this question: what is the best midah, the best characteristic that a Jew should have? So one person got up, he said, I believe everyone should have an ayin tov, a good eye. Don't be jealous of anyone. Another one said, Rebbe, I believe everyone should be a chaver tov, a good friend. We all have acquaintances, but how many have real good friends? Try to be a good friend to somebody. Another one said, be a shachen tov, a good neighbor. Then Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch said, Rebbe, you know what I think? I think every person should have a leiv tov, a good heart. And when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai heard that, he said, that's the answer. That's the right answer. Because if you have a good heart, then you're going to be a good neighbor, a good friend, and you're also going to have a good eye. Now fasten your seatbelts. Listen to what he said. Leiv is b'gematria 32, Lamed Beis. Tov is b'gematria 17, 32 and 17, 49. That's why we have 49 days of Sfira, because our avodah, our duty throughout these 49 days between Paysach and Shavuos is to become that leiv tov, to become that caring person. How incredible it is to me that the Parsha of Metzorah comes out during Sfira. Because what's Metzorah? The guy doesn't have a good heart. He's talking bad about other people. He's a motzi ra. So this week, the Shabbos, we have to concentrate on that. Not only are we counting Sfira to make sure that we have the leiv tov, but to make sure that we say positive things about others and not negative. Hashem should bless all of us, that we should be able throughout these 49 days to have that leiv tov, and Mitzvah Hashem be able to join in Kabbalas HaTorah with one heart.